What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to the MMA Savvy podcast. It's your favorite host, Ari Weiss, alongside combat sport expert, Big Rich Fulgoni. And today we'll be discussing UFC 322, Della Maddalena versus Makhachev that was just booked. And then UFC Fight Night, Imavov versus Borralho that goes down Saturday night in Paris. In standard Savvy fashion, we'll go through the card, analyze all the big fights, and drop our official MMA Savvy fight picks. So with that, let's go straight to the card and get rolling. Let's go, baby. Before we get into our fight picks, which will happen later, big news just came down. We love the bookings at Savvy. It could be the hottest thing in the world. UFC 322. We finally have Islam booked. He said he was going to 170. He didn't lie. They've now booked it. Main event, MSG. I'm definitely pumped up. So let's check this out, Richie boy. You know, it's going to be Della Maddalena, the welterweight champ who shocked the world and beat Belal Muhammad. And now the challenger who relinquished his belt. He's moved up. Islam Makhachev. I love the fight. We don't need to give our official picks yet, but I'm leaning towards maybe Islam. Does he have the wrestling prowess? Can he take down the bigger body that is Jack Della Maddalena? What do you say about this?
Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting. I think Jack Della showed us a lot in that last fight. Question's going to be is how much does Islam fill out at this new frame, fighting at 170? He obviously walked around heavy. We know he had, a little bit of trouble with the weight cuts. They were a lot for him. So now the same thing we saw with Ilya going up into a more natural weight for him, is that going to pay dividends here for Islam? Are those punches going to translate? And then, is he going to be able to take the heavier punches at the heavier weight class? So those are the things I'm kind of intrigued about. I do think that Islam still is the favorite now. I think we might see that gap shrinking as we get closer to the fight. I do think JDM has a great style the same way he did against Belal. I think he throws a lot of those hooks from the body, Roy Jones style, and stays low as well. And so I think he's not going to be easy to enter on, but still, this is Islam we're talking about, right? This guy's, reigned at the top of the division for a long time. If he wasn't having this large period of inactivity, he'd still probably be number one pound for pound. So it's going to be very interesting.
I think Islam goes right for the takedown, though. I don't even know if we're going to see a stand-up battle because Khabib's going to get in his ear. He's going to say, Jack's very deadly. He's going to go straight right into the takedowns, kind of like an old Khabib-Conor fight. Maybe they stay up for about a minute. Anyway, I'm very excited. We'll see, can Islam get his second belt, right? Is he big enough? Is he strong enough to deal with the bigger guys? Okay, we're going to move on for Richie's probably bigger fight right now. Edwards versus Prates. Also the same night in New York, baby. Edwards, number 4 in the world. The ex-champ Leon Rocky Edwards versus Prates, the new young gun killer at number 9. I gotta say, this is a great fight, and I like it because they're not just hand-selecting two strikers. It's a fair fight because Edwards had been sliding, and Prates is rising up, right? So it's not like that they're just giving Edwards a stand-up fight so he finally doesn't have to go against a wrestler. It's a great fight. It's legit, and it's Edwards' last dance here. And it's exactly what he needed. Someone who's going to stand and trade. And I might even be going Edwards on this, baby, against your nerds. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, it's really interesting. You made a lot of good points there. I think the fact that you're saying it's not a hand-picked fight, striker versus striker. Well, let's remember that, Leon was meant to fight JDM last time, right? And there ended up being an issue pulling him out of that fight. And then he ends up against a really good wrestler, grappler like Sean Brady, and he just got outclassed. I still think something's not quite right with Rocky. You know what I mean? I think losing that belt and the way it happened and then that follow-up performance, he has to get right here. Is he going to wash out of the UFC? No, but if he wants to be, considered a top 10 threat in the division, he has to get a win here. And then even though it's a striker, man, you throw him someone like Carlos Prates, I got a lot of love for this guy. He has such great striking. He's really busy with it. He throws them from all angles. You're worried about knees. We saw the spinning elbow attack that knocked out Jeff Neal, who'd never been knocked out before. Let's remember that. And then going back to that fight that he did lose against Ian Gary.
Boy Gary, baby.
I mean, man, that was something weird. I think we can all agree he just didn't look right in those first few rounds. He was a really slow starter, kind of reminded me of some of the Cheeto fights where you're like, what are you doing, man? Get going, use your weapons. And he did that in his last fight, reminded us who he was. He's still young, man. He's still got a lot of room for growth. I think it's gonna be a problem for Leon. And, I think I'm going to have to take my boy Carlos in this one, even though I got love for Rocky. This is just, he's getting thrown to the wolves again.
So this is amazing. Both the same night with Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili in the co-main. Love this. And they haven't even fully built it out yet. So I love this card.
Right.
We're breaking news here. Anyway, let's move on. What we got to do is give our official MMA Savvy fight picks. Everybody's going nuts on Savvy right now, and they need our official picks, baby. UFC Fight Night, Imavov versus Borralho that takes place this coming Saturday night in Paris. You know I love the international crowds. I go nuts about it all the time. And Paris, last time, I think they had those soccer chants going on. I love it. They're going to be going bananas, probably booze can from 3 p.m. on, packing the stadium. And there's going to be all the Brazilians showing up because the nerds are coming to town. So I'm actually very excited about it. Let's quickly rapid fire. We're going to offer our picks now. First fight of the night. And I actually do like this. They added this later.
Man.
Patricio Pitbull, number 11 featherweight in the world, who just came off that unbelievable career-saving win against Ige. Let's look at this lineup here. So we got Pitbull, who is 37-8, and he's against newcomer Lucen Keita. Now, let's look up Keita here really quickly. I had to look this up for you here, Richie boy. He's 16-1. He's from Belgium, and he is the Octagon MMA double weight class champion. He's held a lightweight title and a featherweight title. And as you can see right here, he's won 5 straight, but it's outside of the UFC. I just don't know if I trust the guy. The odds here, as you can see, Keita is a minus 192 favorite. But before we jump on the Keita bandwagon, let's just also look back here. Remember, Pitbull had been the unstoppable featherweight Bellator champ. He also had 2 belts. He came in and he lost to Rodriguez, although he was in the fight earlier, remember? And then he kind of fell. But then he came back and beat Ige, as I mentioned. So I'm a little torn on this one. I know Nico has come in and he's taking Keita. Rich, who do you got on this one?
Man, I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass like it has been with a lot of these Bellator guys. I'm taking Pitbull. To be honest, I don't know enough about Keita. And Pitbull, he did look pretty good in his last fight. I think he likes to stay pretty active, pretty quick turnaround for him. And I'm thinking maybe that plays into his favor. You know what I mean? More reps, if you will, in the octagon, with the UFC. Hopefully works out for him. So let's see.
I'm going with you. I'm taking Pitbull. I don't trust the newcomer. He's never had a UFC fight. And just like we were doubting Pitbull when he came over, but now he's reset himself. He proved himself by beating Ige. Me and you are taking Pitbull. Nico with the newcomer Keita. Okay, second fight of the night. Ziam versus Fernandes. This is a pretty nicely contested lightweight fight. Let's look at the records here. You got Ziam, hometown kid from France. He's 17-4, but against the Brazilian who's 10-2. If you look at Ziam, though, this is actually pretty crazy. Check this out, Richie boy. His last loss was to McKinney all the way back in 2022, and then he's rattled off 5 straight wins against Frivola, who's no slouch, as you know. And then if you look at Fernandes, he's 2 of 3, but he just beat Kutaladze, who's no slouch either, and a tough guy. He's won 2 straight, so it's a little bit tricky here. Let's look at the odds. Ziam is a minus 360. So if you go back to the fight here, Nico taking Ziam. It's too much of odds there, Rich. Minus 360. He's won 5 straight. I got to take Ziam. Who are you touching?
Man, as much as I don't want to have to agree with you on 2 fights in a row, I'm going to have to, man. The odds swayed me as well. He's got a little bit more size. I like the streak he's put together, and I don't see it stopping here.
Okay, so we're in agreement there. Let's move on. It's going to get crazy the rest of the way. Modestus Bukauskas versus Paul Craig. How are we seeing Craig on the main card again? But let's talk about records really quickly. Bukauskas is 18-6. Paul Craig 17-9-1. And if you look at Bukauskas, this guy's scary all of a sudden. So let's go back a little bit, right? If you look back at his record, he loses to Petrino, but now he's won 3 straight. And the last one against Cutelaba, very impressive. And a knockout right before that. He's on a crazy run. So look out for this guy. And then if we look at Paul Craig, it's the complete opposite, baby. But let's just go back. Remember, Paul Craig was on top of the world for a second there because, look, he beats Hill. He knocks out Hill in 2021. He then submits Krylov, and I remember I called that. Nico was pissed. But then he loses to Volkan. He loses to my boy Johnny Walker. He does reset himself against Muniz, but then he loses to Allen and Borralho and Nickel, and then the whole could not continue against Bellato mess. If we look at the odds here, Bukauskas is a minus 345. So I just feel like there's no way anybody is taking Paul Gregg in this fight. Nico has Bukauskas. Wally has Bukauskas. And who do you have, Richie boy?
Yeah, I'm taking Bukauskas as well. The question that I really want to know is, who is Paul Craig's agent? How does a guy continue to get these fights on the main cards after not impressing anybody, like you said, basically since 2021? So, I mean, hats off to him. Get your money, stand up. UK, he's a Scot. Is he a Scot?
Yeah,
No,
he's from Scotland.
Yeah, he's a Scot. Yeah. Let me give him his love there at least. But, man, yeah, I'm going Bukauskas.
I think it's the old high-profile wins. Like, they still remember when he beat Krylov and Hill, and you're like, bro, that was 4 years ago.
Exactly right. That was 4 years ago.
So now, newcomer Balaji Oki versus Mason Jones in the lightweight division. Let's look at this matchup. Oki 10-2. Mason Jones 12-2. Both phenomenal records. Oki, if you look at him here really quickly first, he's a newcomer, so he's coming off a win, but he did lose to Duncan, but a lot of people are losing to Duncan, so there's no harm there. Then if you look at Mason Jones, I actually was very impressed with him, if you remember. So he beat Onama. He loses to Klein. Klein is a serious guy. But then remember that Jeremy Stevens fight. And yes, Jeremy Stevens had gone up a weight class, and Jones was the bigger guy, but man, he put it on Stevens, even though that first round was close, and I was keeping my eye on this guy. I'm a Jones fan now somewhat. So let's look at the odds here. Jones is a slight minus 142. So if we go back to the fight here, Nico is taking Oki. He's going out on a limb, taking the Belgian. Wally holding the fort and taking Jones, because I was very impressed in that Jeremy Stevens fight. Who do you got here, Richie boy?
Man, I don't like the trend here of me picking the same guys as you, Wally. I like to be at contention with you, as you know, but same thing. I'm becoming a Jones fan as well. That last fight with Stevens, even though, let's be fair, Stevens went up a weight class, hadn't been in the UFC for a little bit, doing his thing in bare knuckle boxing, but Jones looked tough. Stevens throws hard and throws clean, and he ate those punches and kept that offense, his foot on the gas. So he was impressive there. I think it's razor thin as far as the odds go, but I'm picking Jones in this one too.
Okay, we're aligned there. Nico taking Oki. Okay, co-main event, number 13 lightweight in the world, Saint-Denis versus Mauricio Ruffy. Saint-Denis now is 14-3 and Ruffy 12-1. If you look at Saint-Denis briefly, remember, he also looked like he was a destroyer. He beat Bonfim. He beat Moises. He beat Frivola. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's unstoppable. And he was up on Poirier, if you remember. And then he got clocked by Poirier, and that kind of changed the trajectory, because then he gets beat up by Moicano, and then he has that late fill-in fighter, Propolek, and he does submit him. He looked great, but that guy came in on a week's notice, so it's hard to say, is he back, or was that just someone that they threw at him, right? And if you look at Ruffy, he's another Brazilian nerd who beats Malarkey. He beats Lon Top, and then he got that kick against King Green, but he hasn't really fought against top guys yet. I mean, King Green, come on. So I'm not 100% certain here. If we look at the odds, Ruffy is a minus 198, so they're liking him here. Nico going underdog again. He's taking Saint-Denis, and Richie's not going to like this. But I'm going to have to side with you again, Richie, and I'm going to take Ruffy, because I just feel like Saint-Denis, we've sort of seen him up and down.
Wait, I haven't even made my pick yet. How do you know I'm going with Ruffy?
I just know you're a Brazilian nerd, Barney, baby. And Saint-Denis, he's a little too up and down. We've kind of seen that he wasn't that unstoppable marauder ever since that Moicano fight. Right. So I got to just go with the nerds here and take Ruffy. What do you say, baby?
I say smart money, baby. Ruffy, look, you have a fair point about the level of talent that he's fought thus far. But just like the nerds, these guys are on like a rocket ship, man. They're all so talented. They seem to all really, really do their homework. Their striking is incredible, and it's diverse. So I think one thing that I'm looking to see here from Ruffy against Saint-Denis, who's going to be aggressive at times, right, is Ruffy's got these really good short elbows and these little back fists he throws. He's very creative with the striking. I mean, you say that win against King Bobby Green. I mean, that was a chef's kiss, spinning heel kick to the head, knocked him out clean. It looked like a video game. You know what I mean? So I think we still haven't to be fair, haven't seen enough of him to really even show off his weapons yet. So I'm hoping this is another coming out party for one of the fighting nerds. As you know, I'm a big fan, and I think Saint-Denis is just going to have a bad string of luck as far as really talented opponents here.
Yeah, we'll see if Ruffy can get that top 15 ranking. This is big.
Yep.
Okay, main event, Nassourdine Imavov versus Caio Borralho, number 2 middleweight in the world versus number 7 middleweight in the world. And this will be the number 1 contender fight that most likely gets Chimaev. So this is huge. This is massive. Let's look at the records here. Imavov 16-4. Borralho is 17-1, and I believe he's won like 17 straight fights. He's a very scary individual. Let's just look at Imavov. He had been not that impressive after losing to Strickland, but then it seems like he completely changes his career by beating Dolides, then Cannonier when he was down in that fight and he got a late stoppage. Then he beats Allen, and then he beats Izzy and shocks the world there in dramatic fashion. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not the same guy who lost to Strickland a couple years ago. But then you look at Borralho, holy crap, another fighting nerd. I don't even need to go that far back, but it's just like how many fights in a row? I think it's 17 straight fights. But he beats Magomedov, he beats Craig, and we know that's not too hard. But then he also beats Cannonier, and that was a close fight, but he hit him a big punch late in that fight that changed it.
Right.
Very scary individual. Let's look at the odds here, and then we make our final picks. Caio is a very slight 125 favorite. So if we go back to this, Nico taking Borralho, but I'm going to shock the world and go against both of you and take Imavov. I don't trust the nerds, baby. Screw the nerds. Imavov he's the number 2 guy in the world for a reason. He's got great grappling and better hands than Borralho, and he gets it done in Paris in front of his hometown crowd, baby. What do you say to that, Richie?
I say we'll see. I mean, obviously you knew my pick here, right? Caio is he's very talented. He is scary. I think, like, I'm going back to the same points, but these guys do their homework, and I feel like he's going to figure out where to exploit Imavov. And yes, did he beat Izzy, and he's had some big wins. That was not the same Izzy that, we saw 2-3 years ago, right? So not to take away from that win, it was still impressive, but I feel like the fighting nerds are on just a crazy trajectory right now, and I'm all in, baby. Let's go.
Okay. Those are our picks. What a great night of fights this is going to be. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to the MMA Savvy podcast, the world's top place for MMA content. If you love these weekly episodes, make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're a real MMA enthusiast, check out our old MMA Savvy videos on our page. You might see some UFC legends pop up, such as Nick Diaz, Ronda Rousey, and John Jones. The old channel has been revived, and we couldn't be more excited. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast. We're blasting hard on the talk, we're heavy on the gram, and we're going crazy on the tube. That's at MMA Savvy. And make sure to comment and challenge our takes if you have disagreements. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. So with that, stay savvy, fight fans.